Almost Shabbat Shalom, everybody. We are finishing our week with Parashat Lech Lecha. This is an English video following the Hebrew one that I've just made earlier this week. And in this video, I will try to fill up the gap in Avraham Avinu history that the Torah doesn't present into us. Because in the Parasha, Torah starts with a command that Hashem gives to Avraham Avinu to walk towards the land of Israel, but we don't know anything about Avraham Avinu beforehand. But before we'll start the video, I want to say thank you so much for all of our sponsors that make this video and others possible and help us to spread Torah and to mekarev all Jews around the globe and help us share the important messages and teachings from our holy scripts and heritage into our own life in order to become better people and better Jews. If you would like to sponsor this video and others and all the Torah classes that we are sharing, and if you want to dedicate any of them to any of your loved ones, please submit your donations into the PayPal address that is linked here on the bottom or in the video's descriptions, and we will be happy to spread the word and merit your loved ones. Parashat Lech Lecha is starting with command of Hashem to Avraham Avinu to take all of his family and belongings, leave the land that he grew up in and the house of his father, and start walking towards to the land of Canaan, later on to be Israel. But the Torah doesn't tell us who Avraham is, what his background, where is he coming from, who is Avraham Avinu. Those details are appearing in the Midrash and in other sources. And according to those sources, it starts with the Tower of Babel. If you remember, in Parashat Noach, after the flood ended and Noach started a new generation, that new generation who was blessed with a lot of wisdom and technology and gifts from Hashem to them to elevate their lives and become more progressed with science and buildings and all of that, use that information and that knowledge against Hashem to build a tower and challenge Hashem. The one who led all of this mutiny and anti-godliness propaganda was no other than Nimrod. Nimrod was the biggest idol worshiper at the time. He became the king of the world very, very fast, who led everybody astray from Hashem into idol worshiping. So basically, the entire humanity, at most, was on one side of the river, meaning the idol worshipping side, at least until Avraham was born. Avraham was born to a person named Terach. Terach was the first assistant of Nimrod, the first minister, the most important minister in his kingship. And basically what happened is that Terach's wives got pregnant right at the same time when the astrologers of Nimrod had predicted, looking at the stars, that there will be born a baby boy that will challenge Nimrod and make him fall and move everybody from an idol-worshipping faith into a monotheistic one. So obviously Nimrod doesn't know who that baby born is, and same like Paro years later, is issuing a verdict to kill all the baby borns that are being born, just to kill them in order to remove the threat. At the same time, like we said, Terach was pregnant, so Terach was really worried. He didn't want his baby boy to be thrown into the river or get killed. So he sent his wife, while pregnant still, to live in a cave. And in that cave, she's giving birth to little Avram. For 3 whole years, Avram doesn't see any sunlight. He's enclosed in that cave with his mother. And after 3 years, when the astrologers tell Nimrod that the threat has been gone and he's safe now, then he removes that verdict, and Avram can, for the first time in his life, go outside and see the outside world. And as he was waddling outside from the cave, he see a very, very strange sight. He see a big ball of fire shining on him from the sun and basically blinding him. And being filled with awe to that wonderful God that is looking at him, meaning the sun, he starts worshiping the sun, only to find out that later in the day, when night falls, there's another God, the moon, that comes and chases away the sun and shines his own light. So he starts worshiping the moon because he thinks that the moon is another God that fought against the sun, which is another God, and won it. And now the moon is controlling the world. And then the moon is the stronger god, so it is worthy to worship him. But then in the morning, he sees the sun comes back and beat the moon again, and the moon is going away. So he sees this cycle of nature, and he understands that neither the moon, nor the sun, nor the clouds are controlling the world. There has to be some higher being that controlling the entire world and monitoring and orchestrating everything that goes in the world. And he's starting to seek and look and research. Same like the Rambam, Rabbi Moshe ben Maimon, thousands of years later, who investigate nature in order to find out about God. And like we learned in the Gemara, it says that in a way that a person wants to walk, they will help him from heaven and open the path for him. So Hashem sees that Avraham is researching and asking and really want to find out the truth. So he reveals himself to Avraham and telling him, I am the God who created all of this world. I'm the God of heaven and earth, and you will be my messenger of truth to bring me into revelation to this world and move them from idol worshiping faith into a monotheistic one. And this is why Avraham later on become Avraham. It's called Avraham Ivri, the Hebrew Avraham. The word Ivri comes from the word Ever in Hebrew, which means on the other side. All of the world are one side of the river, worshiping idols. Avram is the only one who's across the river on the other side. Ever, from the other side of the river, who starts to worship monotheistic faith in one God. And things are going pretty smoothly. Avraham is growing up. He's already a teenager. His father was the biggest priest back then in that area for idol worshiping. He had a big factory for statues made of stone and wood, and he sold to most of the ancient world in that area all these statues. And many people used to come up to the factory with gifts for the gods, food and jewelries and whatever, to give offering for those gods in his factory. And many people end up buying statues from him. And one day, Terach, Avram's father, businessman as he is, has to go to a business trip, maybe to find more statues and bring them and import them or whatever he needed. And he leaves Avram, at the time a much more mature teenager. He leaves him to guard his factory and handle it while he's gone. And Avraham sees a great opportunity with that in order to convert everybody from idol worshiping to monotheism faith. And how does he do it? Everybody that come either to buy those statues or to give them offering, he asks them, why do you believe in that? It's stone and wood. It doesn't mean anything. It doesn't do anything. It's just nonsense. Can't you see it? There's one God. And he convinces people. And people just leave the store without buying anything and starting to worship one God, which is Hashem. And one day an old lady comes and she gives a big pot of soup as an offering to the gods. And she enters the factory store. And again, Avram is starting to talk with her. You're 80 years old. How can you believe in that nonsense? Had it ever even benefited you? Why do you believe in stone and wood? And slowly by slowly, she gets convinced. And she decides to drop her idol worshiping faith and move to a monotheistic faith in one God. And she just leave the soup there and go and don't buy anything and just starting a new life. So while she's leaving the soup, what Avram does, he does a trick. He takes the big pot of soup. He puts it right next to the biggest idol in the store. He puts a big hammer in the hands of that big idol, and he smashes all the rest of the idols, leaving just that big idol standing there. And when his father comes back from his tour, from his trip, he sees the entire store in a wreck. Only one statue is standing there, big and beautiful, with a bowl of soup, with a pot of soup next to him and a big hammer in his hand, and the rest of the store is shattered. And he is becoming pale, and he goes to Avraham and says, what happened? Were we mad? Was there a war? What's going on here? And Avraham says, Daddy, you're not going to believe it. This woman came, brought the big pot of soup, very yummy soup, warm and soothing, and all of the idols started to fight with each other on the soup. And this big idol, he was the strongest, so he took the hammer, he smashed all of them, and he kept the soup for himself. So his father looks at him, and he starts giggling and says, do you think I was born yesterday? Do you think I'm an idiot? What are you telling me? Those statues can't move. There's just stone and wood. They can't do anything. What are you telling me here? So Avram, here's his father's answer, and it's very wide and wisely. He tells to his father, may your ears listen to what your lips are saying. If you know for sure that it's just wood and stone and they can't do anything, why do you worship them? You might as well worship the real God of this world that actually moves everything and orchestrating everything, rather than worshiping nothingness. Now, Terach is a big idol worshiper, and he's also a big businessman, and he's also a big supporter of the king, naturally, being his first hand. And he understands that, okay, we have a problem here. We have a very, very rebellious teenager, and he's going to challenge the entire world, and he's going to cause a lot of problems. That's it. It's done for Avraham. So he gives them to the hands of Nimrod. Basically, he's ratting on him to Nimrod, and Nimrod is inviting Avraham as Terach to his palace to check out and see what's going on. And as they come to the palace, they arrive to a big, big hallway that leads to the king chambers. And this hallway is packed both sides with idols. So Avraham, little rebellious teenager, takes a hammer and just smashed all the entire statues and make a big mess. Nimrod runs out seeking what's going on, and he sees all of the statues broken, shattered on the floor. He says, okay, I guess you're Avraham. Welcome. What is going on? Why did you smash all my idols? And Avraham tells him, because they're all a lie. There's only one God to this world, and you should believe in only one God, because he's the one who created this world and orchestrated it, and everything is happening on his word. And all of this that you have here, that's just statues. They're nothing. So you're a man of wisdom. You're a smart king. Just move to believe in the truth and not a lie. So Nimrod says, you know what? I am a wise man, and I hear you. Let's put your God to the test. If what you're saying is truth and your God is really real, let's see if he's going to help you. I'm going to throw you into the burning inferno, and if he's going to save you and take you out alive with no harm, then I will agree that there is a God to this world and that he is the one in control. Avraham says, no problems. Throw me in. So they're making a big ceremony, an execution day, like they used to do in the ancient world. And they bring a big oven, and it's very, very hot. It's inferno oven. It's so hot that even the guards around are taking a few steps backwards not to get burned. And they throw Avraham inside, and all of his family is there among the crowd and watching what's going to happen. And Hashem himself, like in Egypt, going, no angel and no messenger, going and saving Avraham. And after all of this happened, Nimrod, who was the biggest idol worshiper king that led all of the world, came to Avraham and says, okay, I agree, there is a God to this world, but for me, it's just another God among thousands. So I still continue to believe in all of them. And okay, I will agree that this is the most powerful God, but you know, this is not for me monotheism. I continue with idol worshipping. Later on in life, Nimrod will become the biggest enemy of Avraham, because both of them represented two different life philosophies that were colliding with each other. Nimrod with his idol worshipping and power to the human being, believing in the human being, and Avraham with one faith, in one God, believing in God and only then in the capabilities of the human being, because Hashem controls everything, and Nimrod was believing that the person himself controlling everything. We have to understand that idol worshipping in the ancient world wasn't just bowing to statues of stone and iron and wood. Those people could actually manipulate the evil forces of the world through astrology and other forces in order to change realities. Of course, everything happened under the wings of Hashem, but they didn't know that. And they believed that the world belongs to the person, to the human being, and the human being can change it and manipulate it to their own will as they will. And on the other side, Avraham believed that there was only one God, one Hashem. He controlled everything, and he gave his believers, he gave humanity some powers to be involved in creation as a teamwork. But of course, everything goes underneath his supervision and his control and his creation. So that's the background of Avraham. In the next parasha, we will start to talk more in details about how Avraham is taking step by step towards the land of Israel, and each station that he stops and each move that he makes and each decision or each adventure that happens to him will replicate itself with the Jewish nations once they're going to be subjugated in Egypt. Because through his journey, Avraham basically built the map and the road for his children, the Israelites, to go exactly the same stations that he went in order to build themselves as the Jewish nation, who will receive the Torah and practice it, all 613 mitzvot, in order to keep the world running. The Gemara tells us that if there had been even one day when nobody learns Torah, the world will fall apart, because the entire world was created for the practice of the Torah. And since the Jewish nation are the one who chose to practice it, then the entire world was created for the Jewish nation. And since Avraham is the father of the Jewish nation, then the entire world was created for Avraham. And this is why in Parashat Bereshit, the first parasha of the Torah, okay, it describes how Hashem created the world. Bereshit bara Elokim et hashamayim ve'et haaretz. In the beginning, Hashem created the heaven and the earth, okay, and it tells us how Hashem creates the light, and he separates between the light and the darkness. And the Midrash tells us, Ele toldot haaretz be'i bar'am. Those are the details of the land and the skies as they were created. And it tells us, don't say be'i bar'am when they were created, say be'avraham, with Avraham. Meaning Hashem created the world for Avraham, and then he created the light and the darkness. What are the light and the darkness? So why one of the interpretations is the light was Avraham, because he brought the light of Hashem into the world, and the darkness was the idol-worshipping darkness that was surrounding the world ever since the generation of Noah. I hope it made sense, and I hope that you enjoyed this video. And if you do, please help us sponsor it and submit your donation to the PayPal address that is written in here and in the video description. And as we said, you can dedicate those Torah classes in the elevation of somebody's soul, or for blessings for somebody that you know and needs some blessings. And Bezrat Hashem Bli Neder, we will do it and bring blessing upon them. Have a good Shabbat Shalom, and we will see you in the next Parasha Bli Neder.